Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Abraham Lincoln's next birthday will not be until February. But here we are already in October celebrating Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Never let it be said that Republicans are behind the times. We're ahead of the curve. It's a pleasure, on behalf of the Republican parties of the northwest suburbs of Cook County, to welcome you to this annual 2025 Lincoln Day dinner. Look around the room, and I defy you to say that this is a telephone booth. People say there are not enough Republicans in Cook County to fit into a telephone booth. Well, look at the leadership of the Republican Party just in the northwest suburbs who are here. Congratulations and thanks to you for your willingness as citizens and active participants in the civic life of our community to put it on the line, to be visible and participatory in the democratic process, to celebrate the virtues and values and principles of the Republican Party since its founding in the era of Abraham Lincoln, all the way down to the era of Ronald Reagan, to the era today of President Trump. Thank you for standing for those values and those virtues and being brave enough not just to be voters, but some of you to be candidates, some of you to be activists, all of you to be advocates for the principles of freedom and the virtues and values of our country. We gather tonight above all for reasons of patriotism. We believe in this country, and on the eve of the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence, our launch of a revolution that continues today and causes ripples throughout the world, spreading the causes of liberty and civilization around the world, and certainly across America. For those reasons, we gather together. Now, before we begin dinner, just a few preliminaries. I'm going to invite an appropriate patriotic opening, and then we'll invoke God's grace on tonight's gathering. So let's begin with the presentation of our colors, and I am delighted to tell you that tonight that service will be rendered to us by the young people of Troop 32 of the Boy Scouts of America from Arlington Heights. Those scouts are Dylan Ferguson, Patrick Karafotius, Dylan Mustafik, Thomas O'Donnell, Jacob Papirski. They're escorted here tonight by their Scoutmaster, Patrick O'Donnell. And it's my pleasure to call on the captain of the troop for this purpose, Life Scout Gianni Scaletta. Gianni?
Will the audience please rise? Color guard attention. Color guard forward march. Scout salute. If you're not in uniform, please put your hand over your heart. Color guard halt. Color guard prepare to post the colors. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, return to ranks. Color guard about face. Forward march. Color guard halt. Color guard dismissed.
Thank you, John. Very much. Remain standing, please. I'm going to present to you a very important young lady, Sophia Hope. Sophia, will you join me, please? Now, don't be astonished by her size. She's only 10 years old. She's in the fifth grade here in the Chicago area. Sophia is a patriot. She's a knowledgeable patriot. Before dinner, I quizzed her a little bit on American history. She passed. You're about to hear her sing a familiar and beloved song. I want you to know that she sung it for the Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, and many other teams, including the Yankees, in many public places, but always with a sound and fervent patriotic heart. Ladies and gentlemen, singing our national anthem, Sophia Hope.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
USA, 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 USA. Sophia, Sophia, Sophia. Please be seated. If between Sophia Hope and those scouts you don't have hope for the future of this country, your heart's not beating tonight. It's now my privilege to call forward Scott Phelps. Scott is a minister, took his master's degree in the neighborhood here at Trinity International University. His ministry today is focused on family matters. He is the leader, the executive director of the Abstinence and Marriage Education Partnership. He does great work also with young people in putting them on a track towards civilized values. And for purposes of our invocation tonight, it's a great honor for us to present to you Scott Phelps.
Thank you. We will not restore the American family and civility in our culture without reaching our young people and educating them clearly on the objective benefits of preserving sex for the context of marriage. The verse that we lean into heavily in our ministry is Romans 12:21, which we will pray tonight. I love this verse. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That's why we're here tonight. There is much evil around us. We're not overcome by it. We are overcoming it by doing good. Thank you for being here tonight. Would you join me in prayer? Father, we thank you for your word, which gives us the great encouragement that there is evil in our midst, that it is possible to be overcome by it. But you have also encouraged us that we can overcome the evil that faces us by doing the good that you have called us to do. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works which God prepared beforehand in order that we should walk in them. Lord, I pray for those who are here in elected office and those who are running for elected office. Would you give them a special measure of grace and protection? Would you watch over them? Would you care for them? Would you bless them? Lord, they are making a great sacrifice in order to serve us in this country. They are called. They are called to this mission, and they will need your grace, they will need your favor, they will need your protection to carry out the work that you have called them to do. And so we gather together tonight to celebrate the good work that you are doing with everyone in this room, Lord. Everyone that's here is here because they seek to honor you, to serve you, and to do the good that you have called us to do. May we be faithful to it for the glory of God alone, in whose name we pray. Amen.
Just a couple of things. First, in the spirit of Mr. Phelps's message just now, let me encourage you over dinner as you're chatting with people at your table. If you find someone who is a candidate for public office, plans to be a candidate for public office, hopes to be a candidate for public office, please give that person your encouragement. Because remember this, if the best and brightest among us do not govern us, somebody else will. Second, I want to tease you, at the very end of the program, you're going to hear from Sophia Hope again. If you do nothing else tonight, stay for Sophia. And finally, please enjoy your first course. I'll be back in just a few minutes with the real Mr. Rogers. Ladies and gentlemen, will you indulge me, please? We're going to resume the program. I promise there will be more dinner coming after this first course. I spoke earlier this evening about the importance of 1776 when we began our revolution, but a lot of work was being done before that year in the formation of an American nation and the consciousness of an American peoplehood. And important things happened in 1775, including on June 14th of that year, the founding of the United States Army that would then come under the command of General Washington and on into history. Also in 1775, we established the United States Navy. And soon thereafter, we established the United States Marine Corps. They're here. I know the drill. There are retired members of the Army, retired members of the Navy, but once a Marine, always a Marine. I know that drill. A lot of people in our armed services, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and now the Space Corps, have laid down their lives over 250 and more years for us, for our liberty, for our safety, for our civilization, for our nation. And I want you to bear that in mind, that between us and the foe there stand fellow citizens who are willing to take arms to defend us. We need to keep them in our minds. Keep in your minds those who have given up their lives for us. But that happens also in other walks of life too, and just this year, we, and when I say we, I mean those of us in this room, we lost to martyrdom a child of this community, a friend of us in this room, someone who in fact spoke to us from this very rostrum as recently as 2021 as our principal speaker of the evening. And I refer, of course, to the friend of many of us, now an inspiration to all of us, Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk lived and he died for a core American proposition that people can and must disagree with each other civilly and rationally. He was never afraid of debate. When a conservative goes into a debate, and I know there are many of you in the room who bravely go into debates, we get at least equal time. But we don't get that equal time if we don't go into the debates. And we go into the debates with dignity, and we go into those debates with civility, and we speak our minds rationally. That's what Charlie did. That's what he taught us to do. And that's part and parcel of what it is to be a civilized American citizen. You're going to hear rational discourse tonight in just a moment from our principal speaker. But may I ask you please, for just a moment, bear in mind the sacrifices made by our defenders in the military, our defenders and the first responders, police and the fire and the EMTs, and Charlie Kirk. And may I ask you please for just a moment of silence in respectful memory of them. Thank you. Now let's get ready to fight. And coming down from Michigan to help us build up some fire for the fight is Mr. Rogers, Mike Rogers, a former soldier, served in the United States Army. Came out of the Army and became a first responder, a federal first responder, went to work for the FBI. Three and a half decades ago, he was fighting bad guys in the streets of Chicago. Some things never change. He then returned home to Michigan. Brother was a state representative, a family dedicated to public service in one way or another. He himself served in the Michigan State House of Representatives, so he learned a little bit about what it's like to be a good neighbor and to serve in a collegial parliamentary body where you've got to persuade people in the American way to make good things happen. And then he went on from the Michigan State Legislature to the United States Congress. And he had a distinguished career, several terms in Congress, where he rose in the ranks of the committee-ships to become the chairman of the permanent House Select Committee on Intelligence. This is a man who knows where the bodies are buried. He was the chairman of the House Committee on Intelligence at a very difficult time when the Obama administration was in power. And you don't have to be a deep student of history, but it helps to understand how Mr. Obama that administration teed up so many of the problems that President Trump and the rest of us are having to deal with today, and why more soldiers are needed on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. What are the prospects for victory in Michigan, in Illinois, and across the country in 2026 and beyond? Well, to that end, we have invited a friend of the Republicans of Illinois to this dinner tonight to celebrate those values and those prospects, and it is a real privilege for me to present to you, from the state of Michigan, Mike Rogers.
Oh, get up. Thank you. Oh, please. Thank you. Well, good evening. All right. You know, one person gets up to go to the bathroom at the right time, you get a standing ovation. I love that. Thanks for having me. It's great to be back in Illinois. It's great to be back in Chicago. I spent some great years here. Went after folks like Johnny Apes Monteleone, Joey No-Nose DeFranzo, Joey Big Tuna, Ayupa, chased them all. Matter of fact, I was telling people earlier at my table, if they'd have told me I had to pay to do that work for the FBI, I think I would have done it. Great work, doing really impactful things. And by the way, Donald Trump says, Rogers, you were part of the good FBI. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. When I first got here, I'll tell you this quick story. Brand new agent, gets assigned to the organized crime squad, and there was a guy named Johnny Apes Monteleone, and I don't know for any of the organized crime history buffs here, there may be a few. I happened to see him. I was driving down the road, and I see him. He's coming out of a little pastry shop, and he's literally has cannolis. I wish I were making this up. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm 26. Who wouldn't want to cooperate with me? So I pull over, and if you know anything about Johnny Apes, he was what they would call an old mustache Pete. He was an old-time Sicilian mobster, a tough breed, a guy that had probably himself been responsible for about 25 deaths of your fellow Chicagoans. And so I get out, and I'm talking to him, and I had a guy tell me about 3 weeks before that, and the reason he got his name, by the way, Apes, is that he would lose his temper and get pretty violent pretty quickly, even with his own crew. And so I had heard the story that he was meeting in a garage on a Sunday, trying to avoid guys like me. They have a meeting. Somebody did something he didn't like. He got up and he popped the guy a couple of times. So I get up and say, Johnny, why don't you come on downtown? We'll have a cup of coffee. We'll work this out. If you keep doing that, some of your guys, somebody's going to want to talk to me. You can't really treat people that way. He stops for a minute and he stares at me and he goes, nothing like a good beating to keep the family together. True story. Oh, come on, that's funny, people. By the way, he never did cooperate with me. I don't know how I got that wrong. And Pastor, thank you so much. Great to sit with you. Thank you for the work that you're doing, trying to bring decency back to people in civility. It's so important. So important. And I have to tell you this, it reminded me of a story of a pastor and a politician who were at an event like this. They get in the car, they're driving home, it's a wintry night, they veer off the road, both are killed instantly. Terrible, terrible. But they both end up at the pearly gates, and the politician steps up first, and St. Peter says, thank you for everything that you've done. There's a place here in heaven for you. It is the nicest place in all of heaven. Best view, your staff is even the highest quality here we have in heaven. It's amazing. And you're very close to God. So the pastor's thinking, my God, if that's what the politician gets, can you imagine what I'm going to get? He steps up. St. Peter says, Pastor, thank you so much. Talking of God's grace, bringing people to Jesus, making people understand the light, the way. And we've got a place in heaven for you. It's a little dingy. It's down in the basement. It's a little leaky, but in a few years, you get to work your way up. He said, St. Peter, don't get me wrong. I'm really glad to be here, but the politician gets the best place in heaven, and I get the leaky basement. He said, Pastor, you don't understand. I see about 1,000 of you a day. Never seen a politician here before. No. So you saw the No Kings, right? Saw the No Kings. They're out there, adults in costumes. Didn't that inspire you to change your ways? By the way, here's the good news. I announce it tonight. There are still no kings in America 250 years later. My favorite sign was this one. It said, if Harris were president, we'd be out to brunch. And I thought, candidly, your president was out to lunch the entire time he was there. And think about what they are promoting. And I don't know if we ought to get worked up about, they're all saying 7 million people, oh my Lord, half the population of America showed up for, and dressed in silly costumes and made bad signs. Now, you know what I'm talking about. I don't think we should at all. These are the same people that hated Donald Trump in his first term. These are the same people that hated Donald Trump and the ones that were telling their relatives they're leaving America. And we all thought, we should start a fund. I mean, think about the things that they are saying they didn't want to have happen or be a part of this country. Just think of the big, beautiful bill. That they're saying we don't want people who are working overtime to take care of their family to get a tax break, no tax on overtime. They're saying, hey, waitresses and waiters, I know you don't work as hard as you need to. The government needs to tax your tips. They're saying Social Security folks who are struggling to get by, I want some taxes out of your Social Security. That's what they're standing up and saying we want. And the other thing they want, by the way, I wrote it down because I couldn't believe this was actually true, and I went and found it. Thank you, Senator Kennedy, for Louisiana, for pointing this out to us all. Yeah, you bet. Here's a couple they're fighting for some things in the shutdown that were passed in the big, beautiful bill. They want to spend an extra $1.5 trillion. And here's why they're willing to have people who are protecting us, law enforcement, seniors who are trying to get their Social Security checks, military families who are struggling anyway from getting paid, including those that are deployed. And what are they fighting for? Here's just a couple of my favorites. $4.2 million for LGBTQ policy change in Uganda. Nearly $500,000 for a pride parade in Lesotho. $3.6 million for pastry cooking classes and dance focus groups for male prostitutes in Haiti. Somebody here wants to take that class. I just heard that. But I think we can get you in. I don't know. But think about it. It tells you where their priorities are. And look at everywhere that Democrats are in charge. Cities like Chicago. Cities like Detroit. Education system. Kids are graduating that can't read. Right here in your city. Matter of fact, in Chicago, they have something like 13 different school districts where not one person is reading at grade level. Not one. This is who they're standing up for. I get around the state a lot in Michigan, and they had to take off this question. We do a lot of manufacturing, and we're very proud of it. They had to take this question off. If you're coming in, you're a high school graduate looking to get in to the small tool and die shops. You know what that question was? Pull out a measuring tape and show me 1 1/4 plus 1 3/4. They couldn't find people to pass the test of that question. They can't do fractions. We're spending a lot of time staying away from the 26 letters of the alphabet and spending a lot of time trying to convince you and our kids there's 26 genders. You've had that class. I know that. I mean, when you think about what their priorities are in school and the fact that 57% of high school seniors last year could not read at the 8th grade level, they are destroying America. And we need to understand something. This gathering in a state that has some challenges, for sure, is so critically important that our message stays alive. That the message, yeah, you bet. So think about it. When they could be at brunch, we closed the border. The president is bringing peace to the Middle East in a way that I just think is unbelievable. The work that he's done in 11 months to put us on, yeah, you bet. And why those things matter to real people? I'm going to embarrass a couple here tonight, if I may, who are keeping their daughter alive because of the courage of President Trump and your work to get him into that Oval Office. They have closed the border. And there's a family here who lost a daughter, Katie, to an illegal immigrant. That was preventable. So when they protest and they're trying to rip the face mask off of a law enforcement officer who is arresting an illegal for a criminal act, we should be proud of those people. This is, candidly, an insurrection. And think of it. Katie would be alive today, and how many others would be alive today? They flipped the switch and opened up the border, and people poured in. They still don't know who's here. And they're working their fannies off. And what are folks who are dressed in those costumes and making those dumb signs doing? Protesting police officers, law enforcement. These are the same people who said defund police. And look at the crime rates. You know, Detroit, I'm pretty big on this, is the second most dangerous city in the United States. The first is Memphis by population. So Trump is in Memphis. I've been calling out Detroit, say, take advantage of this. If you could save 100 people, would you do it? If we came to you with a massive amount of money that said, we'll save 100 people next year, would you do it? Absolutely, you would do it. And President Trump is doing it. He's willing to do it. And these Democrat governors and Democrat mayors are thinking that 150 murders is okay, apparently, or 200 murders is okay, apparently. We're 9,000% in Michigan and Detroit higher than aggravated assault on the national average, 180% higher than rape. And we can't get the Democrats to think it's important enough that those people's lives count too. And that's why Republicans are important. We don't care that they're not going to vote for us. I do care that they can walk to church and go to the store and walk their kids to school without being intimidated by gangs or illegals or people peddling drugs. That's why this is so important, and you not giving up is so important. You know, I look at Charlie Kirk's death. It had a profound impact on a lot of my folks. My kids were very into Charlie Kirk. My son's in the Navy. My daughter, I know I'm an Army guy. I was apparently a failure as a father. I don't know how I did that for my fellow Navy guys out there, Army guys. Think of this. They didn't kill Charlie Kirk because he was a fascist. They called him a fascist so they could justify killing him. What did they just do over this weekend? They called all of you fascists, right? You're Nazis. They are encouraging people to think that it is okay, because it's okay to kill fascists. It's okay to kill Nazis. This undertone of political violence coming from the left is real. When they march around town and the media eats it up, it tells you we have a problem in this country. And the good news of all, the courage of Charlie Kirk, is that while he reached for a microphone, they reached for a rifle. But they found out something very important. You know, when they had a problem, they went out and burned cities down and rioted, broke into businesses, called for defunding the police. We had vigils. They may have killed a conservative soldier, but they have awakened an army like I have never seen before. And those little things matter. When I was a young agent, there was a case, this woman ran away, young lady, ran away from Iowa. And I tell you this because this has got to be who we are, and this is our march forward, and this is why we get engaged, and we don't give up. Do one more door, one more phone call, send one more check to that guy in Michigan. Those are the important things. She ran away, spot her at the bus stop. They get her hooked on heroin, long story short, in about 30 days. First 30 days free, now you got to work it off. Ends up in a house of ill repute. We find her probably, she was 15, we find her probably 2 years later. When we were pulling her out of this place, she had track marks in her arms, under her arms, in her fingers, in her neck. They would take these girls and lock them up all day long and feed them just enough drugs and then take them back at night. And so when we were taking her out, she didn't say a word. She had a 1,000-yard stare. She went and got in the car, sat down, 1,000-yard stare. And I'm a pretty young FBI guy. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be saying. And dead silent in the car, about 10 minutes later, doesn't look at us. She looks out the window still and says, "Do you know why I didn't kill myself?" Because I knew somebody cared enough to come find me. Do we? Yeah, you bet. And do we care enough? There are people in the city today who need our help. Your city needs a lot of help. Detroit needs help. They don't need something amazing. They don't need miracles, although we would pray for miracles for sure. They need people who believe in common sense, people who say it is about faith and family and freedom and prosperity, the things that brought you in this room tonight. And I hope fires you up to keep this fight going through next year. About who we are. I don't know a conservative. I don't know a Republican who doesn't care enough to do something about it. You wouldn't be here in this number in an off year if that weren't you. But it is going to take that grit. It is going to take absolutely believing that we have the right answers for a prosperous America, and it doesn't include dressing up in a bunny suit and making a bad sign. I know there's a table back there that really wanted to do that tonight. This is our chance, honestly. You know, that weekend, that Saturday after Charlie Kirk was assassinated in my little hometown, Brighton, Michigan. Yeah, Brighton, Michigan, I love that. Yeah. So you and I, that's it, we got it. There was just an email tree. Wasn't organized, no speakers, wasn't an organization, just people saying, hey, let's meet down by the mill pond and have a vigil. 3,000 people showed up in less than 24 hours. 3,000. Yes, amen, you're right. And you know what? They didn't riot. They didn't show their fists in the air. They prayed for Charlie Kirk. They prayed for his family. They prayed for our country. And it happened hundreds of times across our state. I'm sure it happened hundreds of times here. You know that silent majority we often hear about? It's up to us to plug them in and make them silent no more. Right? They're going to reach for the ammo box. We have to ignite to get people to the ballot box. If we want to change America for the better, this is our time. We cannot slide backwards for faith, for family, for freedom, for prosperity and the future of this great nation. Thank you for having me. God bless you. Let's get to work.
Well, a big, big, big thank you to our friends from Michigan, the great Mike Rogers. Now, we got him here by telling him we're going to raise all sorts of money for him. And so I know we raised a lot of great money for all the organizations that came here to pull this organization to get this dinner together, but I wanted to just highlight for you that I would love to collect a few more checks if I can for Mike. So I'm just sitting up here. Just feel free to walk by and give me your credit card or a check. We want to send Mike home well compensated for his time. Mike, thanks so much. Safe travels back to Michigan. Bye-bye.
That was Richard Porter. Lawyer, statesman, and champion of Mike Rogers. Take him seriously. Listen, let me invite the House staff please to resume the service of dinner. At this time, I'd like to call forward Ken Jochum. Ken, are you in the room? Ken is the assessor of Wheeling Township, and Ken is going to speak briefly on behalf of the leadership of the township organizations who are our hosts and sponsors of tonight's dinner. Ken, come to me, please. A little bit of housekeeping. It's not too late to buy tickets for the raffle. We'll do that just a little after dinner. And it's remember also after dinner you're going to hear again from Sophia Hope. Don't lose that opportunity. Keep hope alive. Here is Ken Jochum.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was changing movement, but that's okay. The few comments I'm going to make can be summarized in one word, and that one word is gratitude. But this is a political gathering, so I can't get by with one word. We've got to do more than that. We'd just like to report to you, as we do every year, that through your generosity and the generosity of many other people, some of whom I'll mention, we've been able to give to the organizations that sponsor this dinner over $1.5 million in the years we've been doing it. We've grossed over $2 million in those years we've been doing this. And we're very grateful for that. But I'm going to tell you, first of all, who is most grateful. And that is the committeemen of these 9 organizations who are here tonight, but also have worked hard to make this event a success and to do some of the great things they're going to be doing. I wonder if we can have those chairmen from the township stand up. Can they stand up, please? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, you can sit down now. It's okay. Sit down. It's enough. There's also some other things I wanted to point out. You've got a book at your table. This is one of our major fundraisers, and we thank all the people who help us. A couple of people I want to point out actually helped us so much it provided the book for us, and that's Ted Dabrowski, and you can see his ad there, as well as Don Tracy, both of whom contributed in a way that made this booklet even more success, as did everybody else on here, I must mention. And finally, I'd also like to mention somebody else who's already been mentioned somewhat by Joe, but who has been a major supporter, not just in this dinner, but he's there for us. He's there for every organization. He's been there for the few years I've been involved in lots of ways, for advice, helping raise money, helping get organized, helping give a boost, and that's Richard Porter. Richard, we appreciate all you do for us. Thank you so much. And he doesn't get any of the big pay that the committeeman does, so that's a pretty big deal. And then finally, I'd like to tell you why we're doing this, but who's doing it? There is an executive committee. I'd like to highlight them, but I want to highlight one person first of all. the person who conceived this concept of Lincoln Day dinner, developed it, developed the streams of profit, and has been with it and leading it for years, is Joe Felici, who's a member of our organization. And then I'll introduce the other members, the executive committee. If they'd stand up, Kathy Penner, T.J. Brown, Katie. Have we got everybody? All right, thank you very much. Now go back and make dessert, if you would. Now, why did we do any of this? Why did we bother to do this since 2008? Why have we done this? It takes a year's worth of work. I'm going to show you why. Can I please ask every single candidate or elected official in this room to stand up? This is the reason why we're doing it. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your service, and thank you for coming. Joe.
Thank you, Ken, very much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the young people are going to be coming around the room selling raffle tickets. And also, don't forget to mark your straw poll ballots and turn those in to the young people who are collecting for the raffle. Turn those in, and at the end of the dinner, we'll announce those results. So please get those in soon. Meanwhile, enjoy your dinner. The young people will be coming through the room. Raffle ticket sellers, where are you? Raise your hands. There are a table in the back. When you've had some bites, then start working through the room and collect those ballots and collect the raffle tickets. Thank you, guys. Now is the time for the runners to bring up the last of the lottery tickets, lot of the chances. Feed them in there. Are you ready, Kathy Penner? Are you ready, Joe Felici? Let's get these tickets in. Are there any tickets yet to come in? Are all the straw poll votes in? Anybody has a straw poll vote, hold your hand up now. Let's get them all in. Are there any chances, any lottery tickets that need to be gotten into the drum? Now. Do you have any chances? Anything to get everything in? All right, let's lock it up and churn it. You want little Sophia to pull?
Yeah, she's gonna pull. But does this come off or no?
Here, Sophie. Testing. May I have sound in the handheld, please? There you are. Should be working.
Okay, everybody, we're gonna start the drawing. And the way this is gonna work is the first one drawn is the $2,000 winner. The second one drawn is a $500 winner. And the third one is the $250 winner. And Sophia is going to draw. So we have all the raffle tickets up here. Does anybody still have raffle tickets they need to turn in? Last call. Last call. Anybody have raffle tickets? What we're going to do is we're going to do the straw poll. Does anybody have straw poll tickets to turn in?
I think they're all in, Joe.
Okay, we're good. Okay, Sophia.
Pull one out, Sophia.
$2,000 winner is Jeff Fiedler.
Oh! Jeff Fiedler. Here he is. Set him up. Actually, you don't need to come up. You don't need to. The money will find you.
The $500 winner is Mark Albers.
One more, just one more, that's it.
The other way, we have the last one.
Big D, okay.
The $250 winner is Carol Hennigan. Carol Hennigan.
Carol Edigan. Congratulations.
Hennigan.
Shut this off maybe for a minute till you're ready.
Ed Lipinski. Ed Lipinski, are you in the room? Ed Lipinski is the functional equivalent of the, here he comes. Do you have the straw poll results? How much time you need? Well, 10 minutes? I've got to put Sophia to bed. Okay, go.
Why don't we close and then people who want to stick around can stick around. Everybody else can leave. What do you think? Let her sing and then people want to leave can leave. And then what will you post them on the website? I don't know. Yeah, we do eventually. No. I post the winners of this on the website. I think most people will stick around. I don't know, it's going to be 10 minutes. Why don't we have her sing and stick
I think
around?
we say she has it's a school night. We're going to let her sing, and then you can stay for the straw poll results.
Good idea.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. May I please have your attention? May I please have your attention? Sophia, we're going to close the meeting. We're going to close the meeting. The straw poll results are being tabulated. They will be announced tonight. If you want to wait through dessert and coffee, Joe Felici will announce the results of the straw poll. For those of you who did not hear the results of the lottery drawing, they will be posted on Joe's website. I think you ought to post the straw poll results on the website too, but I'm going to call up Sophia Hope, please. May I have your attention? Will you give her the courtesy of listening? Please, ladies and gentlemen, please give Sophia the courtesy of your attention as she closes our meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, to grace us at the end of this wonderful meeting with what must be our national hymn, God Bless America, I call once again on Sophia Hope. Sophia.
Please join me and stand to help me sing God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Your gubernatorial timber in 2060, ladies and gentlemen. All right. If you want to stay for dessert and coffee and to hear the straw poll results, resume. Otherwise, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Okay, we have the results of the straw poll. If you're interested, on the Senate poll, Don Tracy, 49.5%, and second place, John Goodman with 19%.
For governor, the straw poll winner is Ted Dabrowski, 55%. Second place, Darren Bailey, 35%.